Hello, Starknet family. Welcome back to the Star Cafe. I'm Nur Star, your personal Star barista. And once again, we are ready to serve you with some very special Starknet content. Well, my dear listeners of the Star Cafe, in this first session of the week, we are exploring the vibrant Starknet scene that is rapidly growing in India. And to do so, we have the privilege to host Gnana, dev advocate at StarkWare and also co-founder of the Phoenix Guild, a guild that helps women and non-binary developers navigate the blockchain field in India and beyond. So first of all, let's welcome Gnana. Hello, Gnana. Welcome to the Star Cafe.
Hello, thank you so much for hosting me. It's super cool, the name of the event, Stark Cafe. And I'm actually just coincidentally going to go and get a hot cup of tea for myself. So seems like it's all, falling into place. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to, speaking about what we are doing in India for Starknet and how can you join, how can you contribute, and just some tips and tricks that could probably help you if you are building a Starknet community in your own country, in your own city, or however we can collaborate. Or if you have any questions, happy to answer.
That's awesome, Gnana. Thanks a lot. And I'm really excited about this coming episode where we'll be speaking about, the Starknet developments in India. And yeah, I think we can break the ice by, discovering a bit about yourself, first of all. So how did you learn, how did you start learning about, Cairo and also, about Starknet? Tell us a bit about your journey on Starkware as a dev advocate and also maybe even before that also like telling us a bit about Phoenix Guild and their mission.
Sure. So basically, I am Gyan Lakshmi and I'm based in Bangalore, India. And I've been in the Web3 space for about 7 years now. I started very early on as a Solidity developer, and I was working as a full-time software engineer, but I wanted to explore Web3, so that's how I got into the space. And slowly I started navigating Web3. I wanted to do something in the education space, and I was trying to find out, like, where does my passion lie? So, between technology, programming, how can I sort of merge all of this together? So, that's how I started working on a lot of different tutorials, content. So, I worked with over 10 plus protocols and created like a lot of content for them. At that time, I think a couple of years ago, like this role of developer advocacy was not very hot. It's very hot quite recently, but even back then, I used to do this, just like as volunteer work and stuff, just so I get to learn things. And I discovered Starkware last year during a hackathon that I participated in, which was conducted by Encode Club during ECC. It was a hackathon that happened in Paris. And our team was the only team which was a team of 5 women. And all of us sort of worked on a really cool idea, which helped basically interface DAOs and contributors who want to contribute to the DAOs. We created like a platform for them, and our idea won a prize, which was the third prize. We were in the top three, and then we actually worked on that idea for a little bit even after the hackathon. But we couldn't, because of our busy schedules, we couldn't all come together to actually make a product out of it. But yeah, that was my first encounter with Starkware and Starknet. At that time, Cairo was like really difficult. It looked a lot like, an assembly level, sort of very close to that style of language. So we spent quite a bit trying to learn Cairo. And then I also learned a bit of WARP, which was the transpiler back then between Solidity and Cairo. And that's how I had actually built my hackathon project. But it was interesting, and I really found the Starknet ecosystem very new. Like, and the people were very nice. They were very encouraging. They were very welcoming to newbies, and that's what attracted me to the ecosystem. And I started engaging with them quite a bit. With respect to Phoenix Guild, it was a community that we started in early 2022, last year, Jan last year. And the idea was that because there were so many people in the Web3 space and there is so much information that it is so overwhelming for people to learn, we wanted to make sure that the barrier to entry is a little bit low. That is, we create educational content and material which is easily accessible. And the second was we wanted to cater to a diverse audience because Web3 is very heavily sort of concentrated with, one particular type of audience. And my main agenda, having worked in the diversity space even before with different organizations. So I worked in diversity not just from a gender perspective with Women Who Code, but I also work with smaller organizations which are, for diversity, for helping bring more disabled people into the like IT ecosystem, right? So I understand the need for diversity, especially in the technology ecosystem, and that's how we started the Phoenix Guild early last year. So Phoenix Guild is chain agnostic, but we love to work with ecosystems that are supportive, that are aligning with our mission and vision, which is to help make this space more safe and more diverse for everyone to be able to contribute. And that's how we actually, when I after the hackathon, I came back and I asked Louis, like, hey, could you give us a grant to do a hacker house for through the Phoenix Guild, and I will teach Cairo to everyone, and I will make people develop on Starknet because I was, very interested in to learn about the ecosystem. And Louis was like, yeah, we are happy to support. We also want to make sure that there are more diverse players developing on Starknet, and that's how we started also involving more into Starknet. And even now, through the Phoenix Guild, we are doing a lot of meetups in India. We are starting with South India, but we are going to also slowly move to North India. We are going to have a big hackathon coming up just end of this month. So a lot of stuff going on, and it's good that as a company that I work with is also willing to support some of these initiatives, even though they are like unbiased, like they are not biased towards one or the other initiatives. But seeing that Starknet Foundation has the same principles, which is where I started working with very recently, is very nice for me to, see that okay, they also align with wanting to try out different things and wanting to support different initiatives that bring more developers in the Web3 space. So yeah, that's just me and my small introduction. Maybe not so small, but I try to keep it.
No worries. It was very interesting to to know more about yourself and your on-chain journey and experience with both the Solidity and Cairo programming languages. And also, congratulations for the great job that you and the Phoenix Guild have been doing so far to include to bring more inclusivity into blockchain by helping minorities in general navigate this space. It's very inspiring. And having said that, you started mentioning some of the developments and events that you've been doing with also the Starknet India Echo, together with Phoenix Guild as well, such as the Stark Connect and also some hackathons that you've been doing in the last year. So could you tell us a bit more about these events? I'm mentioning the most important ones or the most relevant ones for you, and also the like how responsive were the Indian devs to this kind of events.
Sure. So, in general, Web3 is very perceived very differently across different parts of the world. So every geography has, like, every city, every country has their own challenges, has their own sort of, a path for onboarding more developers, onboarding more users into different ecosystems. And it's also very dependent on the ecosystem itself. For example, Starknet is a layer two solution, which is a validity rollup solution. So sometimes it can be overwhelming that it's complicated tech. Cairo is very advanced, and these kind of misconceptions tend to be there. And it's no different in India as well. India is a really huge country. It's almost equivalent to a continent in itself because every state in India is different. People speak different languages, people perceive things differently. The level of development in every state is different. So you can think of India as almost as a continent which has, different countries within it, and then you try to sort of bring it all together by doing, bringing awareness across the board. So for India, I think a lot of things in India, especially Starknet related, started last year, probably mid last year or around, September is when we did the Hacker House from the Phoenix Kid when I was not working with Starkware or Starknet. And at that time, there was some awareness, but it was not that much. Especially with L2, I think the L2 ecosystem in itself has grown rapidly this year only because of a lot of different L2s coming into limelight, announcing that they're going to use this powerful technology called zero knowledge proofs. So I think there's been a lot of interest in this subject only quite recently. So similar with Starknet as well, with Starknet CC India that happened end of year last year. I think there was some interest in the space. And then prior to the Phoenix Kid, there were also other communities like ZKX who were doing a lot of initiatives with Cairo, but Cairo in general was a little bit difficult to learn. So after the new release of Cairo happened this year in March, and I joined Starkware this year February, and now I'm moved to the Starknet Foundation. I started working on a strategy to sort of onboard more developers, given that now Cairo is fairly easier than before. And it is very similar to Rust. It is based on Rust. So a lot of Rust developers who are available in India would be able to leverage this programming language, be able to build more and get more exposure. That is mainly the strategy, at least for now. Like people who have studied at least one systems level programming language, like almost everyone in India who goes through a computer science degree studies C programming, which is a very, very close to systems sort of a programming language. So we move for all of our meetups, we say that, hey, there is no prerequisite. We'll teach everything from basics, including Starknet architecture, what is Cairo, why is it required for you to learn Cairo, what does it mean to, what are zero knowledge proofs? We even do an introduction lecture to that. So from that perspective, what we try to do is we try to build people up right from scratch so they don't feel overwhelmed that this is a new technology which they don't know anything about, right? On top of the added fear that Web3 itself is quite new. And then that's the roadmap that we have been following, to not just do like one meetup and then just leave it at that, but try to do multiple meetups in different parts of India, different cities of India. So the concepts are like reinforced over and over again. So if we introduce Cairo in the first meetup, then in the second meetup, we try to introduce a contract and then go deeper into the fundamentals and things like that. That's been the strategy, and that's what we have been following for India. It's a bit different from other countries because in other countries, in mostly throughout the country, you may find that the language is common. You may find that the way people sort of the the kind of like the kind of development that's there across the cities in different countries might be similar overall, but in India it's quite different. Like there are tier one, tier two, tier three cities, and each of these cities work differently. So that's something that we have to be cautious about. And we are trying to sort of do like pan India things, right? So we are trying to also ensure that we are including tier three cities, tier two cities in our plan of action. So everyone gets exposure and everyone is able to sort of know what is the next path, what is their path forward to build on top of Starknet. Sorry, it's writing. Let me just try to fix it.
I can hear you very well right now. Uh, okay,
Ah, okay.
okay. Did you finish the yeah, on your side, right? Oh,
Yeah. I just said like mostly like we are trying to make a plan so that we can make sure that like Cairo knowledge is being given like step by step to everyone who wants to learn about the programming language. So that's the idea, general idea.
well understood, Gnana, and I know what you said was very remarkable, and I can only imagine the flexible approach that you need to have in order to organize such events and in order to attract users and devs into Starknet, into blockchain in general, in such a diverse and huge, immense country such as India, where there are a lot of languages spoken, different cultures, and and also different, also climates, I guess. And I saw also, I was very fascinated by also by many events that you organized during this year and during the past 14 months, where I also saw a lot of universities packed, with people, with a lot of people ready to attend the Starknet workshops that you held during this time, and that was very inspiring. And I also saw that during the last Starknet CC, there was a good representation of Cairo devs or like Starknet builders coming from India, and some of them also took place, in the hackathon that was organized around Starknet CC. And I also saw that, if I remember well, both projects presented by Indian devs managed to finish in the top four projects of the hackathon. So if you could confirm me that, and also tell me a bit about these projects, and if they're also still going on as projects, or they were just experimentations. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. We have been doing a lot of events in India, which are called Stark Connect, which you mentioned earlier. So Stark Connect, like Chennai, Hyderabad, we started with South India, and now we are going to expand to North India. And a lot of people, and most of these events also we hold in universities. So people who are computer science engineering students from their second year, third year, who have studied some cryptography and they're interested to explore blockchain, can actually take advantage of these concepts. And some of these students who have been attending these workshops since almost last year also started contributing to the community. So we have people, for example, the two hackathon teams that you mentioned, which were at the ECC Paris Hacker House, were two of the top four teams that actually presented even during the Starknet CC. So two of these teams were Indian teams, and one of them is actually by Apurv, who's contributing to Madara, and he developed a one-click Madara node deployment, which is still a continuing project, right? And I think he's trying to refine it and make sure that it is compatible with different operating systems, etc. And he continues to be one of the core contributors to Madara. And the second project that also came in the hackathon was Hacker House was Auto Stark, which is an ongoing project. It is again a project by our community members, and it is by a few leads from the Phoenix Guild. They lead different chapters in India, and they came together to actually build a project called Auto Stark, which is building an automation framework for all things related to Starknet. For example, if you want to deploy an NFT contract, you can just write the details of the NFT contract and click on a button. It will deploy the contract for you automatically. It will create an account for you automatically in the backend and everything. So this is an automation based project which is also continuing, and they also received a grant, I believe, from Only Das, so they are continuing to work on their project. And we do see a lot of interest, a lot of different people coming up with different types of projects in the Starknet ecosystem. That's because Starknet is very new, so our ecosystem, even though it has almost all the types of projects that you could potentially have in an ecosystem, there is still a lot of space to innovate, right? Largely because it is an L2 which is very fast. So even if you're thinking of building something innovative on Ethereum, you can always build that on Starknet. So because there is a lot of space to innovate, there are things like native account abstraction and all of that already inbuilt. It's very easy to build products that can be adopted by masses. So there is some good work going on in the Indian space. In fact, I was surprised to actually find out that there is a core contributor to the Cairo language itself. who's a student from a university. Like, can you believe it's a small kid? And I was like, I was surprised, but I was also equally happy. I was like, okay, that's great. Like we have people who are core contributors to the programming language itself from our community. This makes our community really strong, and also it sets an example for other people in the Indian community who want to, follow those two footsteps, or even across the globe, right? That if you have people who are contributing to the core, then they should actually help other people in your community to come and say that, hey, I'm doing this work, I think the ecosystem is great, and I think you should come and join, or you should come and build stuff, and I will try to give you the support that is required. So that's the kind of ecosystem that we are trying to build, where everyone supports each other, encourages each other to, build projects and stuff. And yeah, we hope that people continue working, uh, on these hackathon projects, on their hacker house projects, so uh, that they can also take this forward in other new initiatives that we are doing uh, in and around the globe. And hopefully, it becomes the next couple of unicorn projects.
Wonderful, and it's very promising to see such talented Indian devs distinguishing themselves in Starknet hackathons and in the workshops that you've been holding so far. And yeah, I'm also really excited about the devs that will come in the future, and also because there's gonna be the It's India very soon. We'll be speaking about that in a minute. But first of all, I would also like to shout out to some of our friends that are listening to us live, such as Emmanuel, Script, Kodawari, or something, Atum, Paul from Starknet Africa, Maxion from Starknet Astro, Chinese community, and Gurk, who's also an organizer of the Nepalese meetup that took place last year, and is very active in the Starknet ecosystem as a content creator, and is also organizing the Berlin Starknet meetup that is taking place on the 16th of September during the Starknet Berlin week. So if you happen to be around Berlin, just get in touch with Gurk if you want to know more about the events and go there. Having said that, let's go back to India. And yeah, it was announced a couple of weeks ago that there's gonna be It's India in December, as in the same way as it was as it happened last year. So my question is pretty simple. Simple. Are you preparing some cool Starknet events during that time?
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of people are asking me. Yeah, everyone can be rest assured that there are going to be some cool Starknet events during ETH India. Unfortunately, I can't reveal much because it is still under preparation. But we would definitely host maybe like a Starknet CC India, like a maybe like a 1 day thing. And then we are planning to host a hacker house if possible, either a hacker house or a small hackathon where we can get the builders to come together. There'll be like some good workshops where we'll teach you about Cairo, like how do you build more products, how do you build an end-to-end product on Starknet and things like that. So there'll be everything related to Starknet that will definitely be happening during the ETH India week. So yeah, watch out for more announcements. Unfortunately, I don't have all the details yet because we're waiting for some of the go-aheads, from the higher ups. But rest assured, like something will definitely be happening during the India week.
Awesome. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of events will be organized in India. And well, it's gonna be for sure. It's gonna be a very hot autumn and winter in terms of Starknet events. And before Starknet India, there's gonna be also Starknet CC in Turkey in Istanbul during the Dev Connect week. And we also
Mhm.
have here as listeners Atun from the Herdao Turkish community, and they're also going to organize something and during that week, and also to organize Starknet CC. and they recently also kicked off a new Turkish dev community called Stark Hubs TR, which stands for Turkey. So yeah, if you're a Turkish dev building in blockchain in general, if you want to know more about Cairo, get in touch with Startup Turkey and with Atun. And yeah, I think on my side, all the questions have been answered. I don't know if there's somebody from the audience who would like to ask Gnana for some questions. We're gonna wait for some seconds. And in the meanwhile, I wanted to thank all the listeners who came here, and obviously Gnana for the great work that she's been doing in India and in Asia as well. You were also very active during it's Seoul a couple of months ago, and we also saw you in Starknet CC in Paris. So thanks a lot for the wonderful work that you've been doing so far, and we wish you all the best for the future. Thanks a lot, Nana.
Thank you, Nusrat. And for those of you who are interested in contributing to the community, there are multiple ways you can, like from especially from Starknet India, we are hosting a lot of meetups across India. So if you happen to be in India or around India that time, you should definitely catch one of the meetups. You will see most of them are titled Starknet Connect India. So you can join any of those happening in cities nearby you. And then we are also going to be hosting a huge hackathon at the end of this month, end of September. This is in collaboration with one of the state governments, which is Kerala state government, and it's going to happen in Kerala, of course. And Starknet is going to be one of the, giving some track prizes. So we'll be doing some workshops around that. There'll be some cool projects that you should check out that will be coming from there. And then, definitely Dev Connect will be there from the foundation. There'll be a bunch of things happening. I think announcements will come as we go. Definitely a Starknet CC. And these are some of the opportunities how you can contribute, join the events. But even otherwise, we keep doing a lot of online events, workshops. We have different Telegram groups. We have one for Eurasia devs. So, feel free to join these Telegram groups, start exploring the programming language. And one of the tips that I always give everyone who is like little overwhelmed, feeling that Cairo is difficult, is that Cairo is very, very similar in construction and like in syntax and everything to Rust. So if you're not a Rust developer, it is actually a great time for you to start learning Cairo because you will also parallelly learn Rust, right? So it is two programming languages in one, like two for one offer sort of thing, right? So it's a very good time, and not just because you will use Rust in Web3, you use Rust in a lot of Web2 applications as well. So these are programming languages that are not going to go anywhere, and Rust has been one of the most favorite and loved programming language of developers as per Stack Overflow stats since the last couple of years. So it's definitely worth learning that programming language. And if you are either if you are a developer or you plan to be an aspiring developer, it's definitely good to invest time in emerging technologies. And if you're a non-developer as well, you don't need to learn Cairo, but you can learn more about Starknet ecosystem. What are some of the projects that you can build, that are not there or not very popular on Starknet ecosystem? So you can build that project, you can fix that gap, you can ask for support, and we are here to support you, like in your journey. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have, and sometimes the response might be late because I'm traveling, but I'm always here to help. And in terms of whatever you need, you want to ideate on something new, you want to learn a new programming language, or you want to become part of the community, whatever it is, feel free to ask questions, because we are all at a very like early stage. We are all just getting started with Web3, and all of these cool new innovations, not everyone knows about it. But because you have the opportunity to get involved in the ecosystem, I would suggest and encourage you all to take out some time. Even if you're working or you are not full time in Web3, you should take out some time to learn about this emerging new paradigm that is changing the way you look at processes itself. So yeah, that's That's it from my end. And thank you so much again for having me. I think it's always lovely to speak to community members, to talk about the work that we're doing, and to really see that there are more people interested in the community. And yeah, thank you so much, Nusrat, for hosting me.
It was my pleasure, Gnana, and thanks a lot for sharing these infos, and thanks a lot also for the great call to Cairo and the call to Starknet for devs and people who would be interested in learning Cairo and also learning Rust in the process, basically. So once again, thanks a lot, Gnana, and right now, thanks a lot to the audience once again. And it's now time to close the Star Cafe. Remember to share the Starknet vibe and see you the next time. Bye, guys. Take care. Bye,
Yeah.
Gnana.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
See you.